So we have team coverage this evening as several states participate in Super Tuesday. Alabama is one of those states, and we are covering the races from the local ones all the way to the presidential primary.
The presidential primary is particularly important for Republicans as Nikki Haley is still trailing behind Donald Trump. Mr. Trump and President Biden are the clear frontrunners for each party.
Time is running out. If you want to make your voice heard, less than an hour now until polls close all across our state.
WVTM 13's John Papke is live in Brighton tonight, where poll workers will have to put in a little overtime tonight. John, how late is the community center there staying open?
Sherry, 9:30. In fact, due to incorrect ballots being delivered here at the community center, voters get an extra 2.5 hours to come out here and make sure their voice is counted. Now, the problem popped up not long after the voting precinct opened at 7 o'clock this morning. The voting machines would not accept the first 8 ballots. After further investigation, poll workers discovered the wrong Democratic primary ballots were delivered. A D4 instead of a D7 ballot was being handed out. Voting was actually paused until a little after 9 o'clock, which is when a deputy brought 1,700 proper ballots to the Brighton Community Center. County election officials say they will make sure anyone who filled out the wrong ballot will ultimately have their vote counted.
So when we count provisionals a week from today, we will know, John voted a D4 when he should have voted a D7. We didn't count that D4, so now we're going to count his D7. So, those voters will have their vote count.
Well, as far as turnout goes, back in 2020, the primary election brought out 35% of Jefferson County's registered voters. As of 30 minutes ago, Judge Naftel told me only 15% of voters in the county have showed up so far to fill out a ballot. So it looks like we're going to be way below the total that we had just 4 years ago. Live in Brighton, John Papke, WVTM 13.
The primary election is slightly different than primaries in the past.
So that's because Alabamians are voting in new congressional maps. So let's take a look at what that map looks like today. The biggest change, Congressional Districts 1 and Congressional District 2. Those districts could see some major changes in November. Republicans and Democrats in those areas have a lot of choices when it comes to the races. Also under the new map, incumbent Congresswoman Terry Sewell picks up parts of Homewood.
Sewell faces competition in the 7th Congressional District. On the Democratic ticket, Chris Davis is challenging her to become the nominee. This morning, Sewell was at Legion Field making a final push to get more votes.
You're not going to change overnight, but I truly believe that over the course of our terms, and it has been borne out, that we've lowered unemployment, we've increased jobs, we've helped to tackle the railroad train blockage. $8 million are coming to the city of Birmingham just for improvement for railway safety.
Well, 8 Republicans and 11 Democrats. That's a crowded field in the 2nd Congressional District primary race there. This is one of the districts that could see a political shift this year because of that new congressional map. It could also be why you see so many candidates as the Democrats are looking to shake things up. Several of the candidates are from Central Alabama, and WVTM 13's Lisa Crane joining us live in Montgomery tonight. Lisa, that's where one of the candidates is going to be holding a watch party this evening.
Yeah, that's right. State Representative Wandolyn Gavan is hoping to represent the state's newest congressional district in the U.S. House, and she now represents the state's 60th district, which is in the Birmingham area. That's also where she lives and practices law, but you don't have to live in the district you represent. You simply have to be an Alabama resident. So several of the candidates in this race live out of district. Now, Gavan is also an attorney, as I said, in Birmingham. She's been in the State House since 2010, and her term there isn't up for another 2 years. But when she qualified for this race, she said she is ready to take on this job, and it would be about the people, not about party politics. Now, Gavan and her supporters expected here at the DoubleTree in Montgomery for their watch party to watch those results roll in after 7 o'clock. We hope to see her soon, and we will speak to her as soon as we can, and we'll bring that to you. Live in Montgomery, Lisa Crane, WVTM 13.
Well, today is one of the biggest day of the primary calendar season. Now, voters in more than a dozen states are casting their ballots for their preferred presidential nominee. Before we get to that, though, we want to get out to WVTM 13's Magdala Lusat, who is also in Montgomery tonight.
Hey there, Sherry. Yes, so we're about 15 minutes away from where Lisa is at Wandolyn Gavan's watch party, but we're here where Marika Coleman is holding her watch party here in Montgomery, and she is one of the several lawmakers wanting to represent Alabama in the House, on the House level in Washington, D.C. for District 2. Now, Marika Coleman currently represents District 19 and has been doing so as a state senator since 2022, and her term is not over until 2026. Now, before this, though, according to her campaign website, Coleman has served 20 years in the Alabama House of Representatives. Now, this District 2 seat is very competitive because the Supreme Court approved the Special Master's redraw of Alabama's congressional district, which federal leaders approved because at the time, Alabama did not have a fair representation of black voters when redrawing its map, meaning that the state should have 2 districts where black voters are the majority or close to it. Now, this district, District 2, includes a lot of rural areas where the bulk of the votes are in metropolitan areas where Democrats hold their own, like Montgomery and Mobile, hence why Coleman is holding her campaign, or her watch party rather, here in Montgomery. Now, she's expected to come here a little later, around 7:30. That's when that watch party will start, shortly after the polls have closed. Now, she does live in Birmingham, and as Lisa has mentioned, you don't have to live in that district to represent or to become that candidate or that person for District 2. So we'll be here until the last vote is counted, and we'll bring you more coverage at 10 o'clock. But for now, we're live in Montgomery. I'm Magdala Lusant, WVTM 13.